Meghan Markle is attracting some criticism this morning after her recent appearance at Wimbledon. She was there with two friends to watch Serena Williams play when her security guards told fans to stop taking photos of the Duchess, saying she was there, quote, in a private capacity. Now, this latest controversy has sparked some outrage among some British commentators, namely Piers Morgan, who says she was at a public event.
You're public people, all of you. In that moment, you're public people. Stop your squealing about privacy. We don't want to hear it.
Piers,
if you want to be private, go back to America and live privately. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, former Buckingham Palace Press Secretary Dickie Arbiter joins us now from London. Dickie, good morning to you.
Morning, Georgie.
My understanding of all of this is that bodyguards warned the tennis fans not to take photos, and I'm just wondering, how would that play out? Would that have been a directive from Meghan, or is that standard practice when royals go to Wimbledon?
I think it's very doubtful that it was a directive from Meghan. If you look at all the photographs that have come out of that particular centre court match, she looks very relaxed, she looks very happy. And you've got to remember, there are press photographers in the dugout photographing the match itself. There are television cameras, so you can't stop people taking photographs, plus the fact that Wimbledon does not have a policy of stopping people taking photographs at tennis matches. The only guidelines they put down are that it must not be disruptive to the players or other spectators, can't use long telephoto lenses, and you can't use flash. So they are pretty relaxed. I think as an overzealous personal protection officer, started off by a male spectator standing about 5 or 6 feet in front of Meghan, taking photographs on his phone, and the protection officer quite rightly went down and said, move along. Look, there were 10,000 people in that stadium. You can't tell all 10,000 not to take a picture. So I think it was a bit of an overzealous response by the protection officer.
So where do you think then that's coming from? Why are they being overzealous? Do you get the impression that Meghan's behind that ultimately?
I don't think she's behind it at all. Look, she was an actor before she became a member of the royal family. There is no privacy when you're an actor. You want all the publicity you can get. Not necessarily when you're a member of the royal family, but if you're in an arena where there are 10,000 other people, you can't expect privacy. If you want privacy, then it is behind the walls of your home. So I don't think it came from her. I think it was an overzealous protection officer thinking that he knew what she wanted, and it was started off by this male spectator standing too close to her, taking photographs. It's not his job to tell people not to take photographs. He's there to protect her, and that's what he should have been doing, and not telling people not to take photographs.
What about the practice of taking up 4 rows, which equated, I believe, to about 40 seats, of having, you know, that empty space around her? That put a lot of noses out of joint, because there are a lot of VIPs apparently lining up outside saying, why can't we sit in this exclusive area? Is that standard?
Yeah, I find that very odd indeed. And Serena was playing on court number 1, so there is no royal box, so Meghan couldn't go there. And it strikes me as very odd. It's a very peculiar scenario at Wimbledon. What happens is that, say, at the end of a set, there is a bit of a break, people get up and move around to go and have a drink or something, and then they're not allowed back into the arena until there is another break, and there are invariably empty seats. I doubt whether there would have been many empty seats on this particular game, but to have empty seats around Meghan seems very odd to me. I think, again, it was a bit of overzealousness by protection officers saying they need a sort of controlled area around her, and it was completely unnecessary. If you're going to Wimbledon, you're going to watch tennis. Wimbledon have got incredibly good security. There was never a threat to Meghan. So
who then would be directing these protection officers, Dickie? Because they're, if what you're saying is true, they're doing Meghan no favours, are they?
No, the protection officers kind of take the law into their own hands when it comes to their principle. They go to a venue, they look at it and they decide what can be done, what can't be done, how close people can get, whether they can get close enough at all. And it is very possible that they wanted a bit of an exclusion zone around the Duchess. And to take out 40 seats is a bit ridiculous. You know, you can take about sort of 3 or 4 seats behind her, a couple of seats either side of her, and a couple of seats in front of her. Altogether, you don't need 40 seats away, maybe about 10 at the very most.
Dickie, if you were back in that role as press secretary, what would you be advising now? If you could have the ear of Harry, and I know you know him well, what would you be saying? Because there's no doubt there has been a fair bit of criticism for the couple of late, and you sort of wonder how much more they can take of it before things really turn quite nasty.
Well, it is interesting. They've got a new press secretary, Sarah Latham, and I wonder whether they are listening to her or whether she is advising them. There's a bit of red carpet fever when people first go into Buckingham Palace or work for the royals. They don't know how to take them. They're afraid of offending them. They're afraid of actually saying, no, you cannot do that. So what happens is that ends up the royals are not being advised or being advised incorrectly. And my guess is that there's probably not the advice going to them. And if the advice is going to them and they're not listening, well, they then just have to suffer the consequences.
They need Dickie Arbiter back in the fold, I reckon.
Thank you very much. I'm not too sure about that.
Well, we love having access to you, and it's always great to get your insight because you really do understand how these things work. Dickie, good to see you. Thank you.
You too, Georgie. Thank you. Bless you.